here at a high level through the different plans offered by Discovery. Just to give you some guidance with which plan to join, because it can be a bit overwhelming with 27 plans to choose from. Do note that the presentation I'm showing you is from 2022. So the premiums you're going to see are not up to date. So just ignore the premiums because we must still update the premiums on this presentation, but the rest of it's up to date. If you've got any questions, you're welcome to just give me a shout, okay? Okay, so can someone confirm you can see my screen?
We can see too.
Yes, we see the
Thanks.
screen.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about the executive plan. It's the highest plan offered by Discovery. It's very expensive, close to 8,000 Rand a month. So I'm going to skip right over that because really no one's ever belongs to executive plans. So no point in talking about it. The plan I'm going to start with is comprehensive. The comprehensive plan is the second most comprehensive offering by Discovery. It offers members both hospital cover and day-to-day cover. By hospital cover, I mean cover when you're in a private hospital, once you've received your authorization and you are in the bed and breakfast of the hospital wearing the plastic bracelets, you are admitted, you have cover. It also offers the day-to-day benefits. This is for expenses that are taking place outside of hospital, such as GP visits, dentistry, optometry, you name it. Those are the sorts of benefits that we refer to when we speak of outside of hospital benefits or day-to-day benefits. You can see over here, if you want a visual representation of the plan, and perhaps look at this one because the rest of them are very similar from this one. So on the hospital side, we have the hospital benefit. So anything taking place on the dark blue side of the screen of this pyramid is for Discovery's cost. It's known as your risk benefit. This includes the hospital benefit, which I explained is when you're admitted into hospital. For example, you've broken your back, you're having surgery, you have an anaesthetist working on you, you have physiotherapists working on you in hospital, etc. While you are in hospital, you are covered. On comprehensive, or known if it's a plan that says classic comprehensive or anything that has the word classic in front, you are covered for 200% of the Discovery health rate. That means if a doctor agrees to charge the health rate, you as a member are covered in full. There's no shortfall. If the doctor says they are going to charge above the health rate, so for example, the procedure costs 2,000 Rand, by the doctor charges 2,000 Rand, but the medical aid says they're only going to cover 1,000 Rand. You as a member have to pay the 1,000 Rand shortfall. Okay, so on classic options, you covered at 200% of the health rate. On essential options, you covered at 100% of the health rate. That's very important to note. Chronic illness benefits. All of Discovery's plans cover chronic illnesses. Comprehensive covers additional chronic illnesses. If you, for example, have depression, major depression, and have been diagnosed with major depression, comprehensive is the only plan that will cover you from that perspective. Any other plan below comprehensive will not cover major depression. Other chronic illnesses that are covered that we refer to is, for example, high blood pressure, diabetes, HIV is a chronic, hypothyroidism. So those sorts of illnesses are covered by the medical aid. That means that you register your condition, you make Discovery aware that you have, for example, diabetes, and they then give you a special basket of care when it comes to how they will cover your diabetes. They give you visits to podiatrists, they help you with healthy food choices, you get your insulin, etc. So it's a special type of care that's given to you once they are made aware of the condition that you have. If you don't inform them of your condition, they will not know of your condition, and you will end up paying for these medicines and care out of your savings account when it could have been covered out of your chronic illness benefits. You also have cover for what they call screening and prevention. So for example, you can do wellness screening where they screen for high blood pressure, high sugar, they do your BMI to see if you're overweight, etc. Because prevention is better than cure. Also part of this benefit, for example, for ladies is a pap smear, which I think you can get every 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. But that gets covered by the medical aid, the pap smear test itself, mammograms, prostate screening, bone density. Those are all things that form part of screening and prevention, subject to age appropriate and certain time passing between each test. So you can't do a pap smear every year to get covered. You can only do it every second year. Okay. On the right-hand side of the triangle, we have the day-to-day benefits. Starting at the bottom of the triangle, you have your medical savings account. This is an allocation of money that the medical aid gives to you at the start of the year. It is essentially your own money because they give it to you upfront in the year and you pay it back over the course of the year with every premium you pay. Your savings account is used to fund day-to-day expenses, such as seeing the GP, going to the dentist, the optometrist, going to the gynecologist, specialist consultations, anything like that, over-the-counter medicine. That all comes from your available savings account. When your savings account finishes and you have no money left, you go through a period of a self-payment gap on this specific plan, on comprehensive and priority, the next plan. They have self-payment gaps. That means you submit proof of your payments. Now that your savings are finished, you submit proof of payment to the medical aid to say, hey, medical aid, I've paid 2, 3, 4, 5,000 Rand, whatever, out of my own pocket. These have now accumulated to show expenses that I've paid from my pocket, and you then access your above threshold benefits. The above threshold benefit is essentially a second savings account, but it is a lot more restrictive. You can't go see any specialist you want using this threshold benefit. It's for things like Schedule 2 medicines and above. So certain things that you're going to put through will not be covered under the above threshold benefit. But for ease of explanation on this call, consider it as a second savings account. Okay. You also have the maternity benefit, which includes several things like certain scans get covered by the medical aid, a couple of consultations with the obstetrician and gynecologist up until the discovery health rate. Being on a classic comprehensive plan will cost you as the principal member 6,810 Rand per month. You will get 1,702 Rand per month in savings, which is 20,000 Rand 400 for the year. And your self-payment gap is just under 3,000 Rand. Moving on to the next plan is priority. This plan is the only other plan apart from comprehensive that has the above threshold benefit. Remember, I told you you have your medical savings account. When it finishes, you go through the period of self-payment gap, and then you access your above threshold benefit. This plan also has that. It's very similar to the previous plan, except be careful. If you are considering joining priority, there are 13 conditions that attract upfront co-payments. For example, neck and back surgery, joint replacements, certain scopes, gastroscopes, colonoscopies, etc. They attract an upfront co-payment, which means that before you can go for your joint replacement, your knee replacement, you need to pay the medical aid. I think it's about 14,000 Rand for knee replacement. I stand to be corrected, before they'll do the surgery for you. So it can be expensive. So if you do, for example, know you're going to have a knee replacement and you don't have a facility to cover the 14,000 Rand upfront they require, or you don't have a gap cover, then priority is obviously not the right plan for you. Again, you've got the option to go for the classic priority or essential priority. Classic covers 200% of the discovery health rates. Essential covers 100% of the discovery health rates. For the purpose of the call, I'm just going to mention classic prices. So classic priority will cost you 4,362 Rand, and you'll be allocated 1,090 Rand a month for savings, which equates to 13,000 Rand for the year. Important to note, your savings account is prorated. So if you join on the 1st of January, you get the full allocation. But if you only join in June, you only get half of the allocation. Savings that you didn't use up this year will roll over to the following year. So if you still had 4,000 Rand left in your savings account by the end of 2022, you'll start January 23 with an extra 4,000 Rand in the account. The Saver series, this is the most popular plan offered by Discovery. Most people tend to join Saver because it's a good mix of hospital cover and day-to-day cover. It also happens to be a plan that falls within your PSI subsidy. So if you are looking not to have to pay extra, then I would recommend that you look at Saver series and below. The Saver series offers unlimited hospital cover in any private hospital, but you'd notice here that your pyramid looks different because here you don't have an above threshold benefit. On Saver, when your medical savings account runs out, that's it. You then self-funding from your own pocket. There's no more savings. There's no more above threshold benefit. I'm personally on Classic Delta Saver, and I think it's a fantastic plan. It's been great so far. Um, Another important thing to mention is just that you got the option to also choose a network of hospitals, which is called Delta Network. So you can have Classic Delta Saver, Classic Delta Comprehensive. Those Delta plans mean you use a specific network of hospitals, which it does make your overall premium cheaper by about 14–15%. So it's a good option if you are happy to use a network option. For example, I know a lot of you are in the KZN region, so I don't know those hospitals off of the top of my head, but it's not to say that a hospital on the network is any less good than a hospital that's off the network. For example, in Stanton, you can use you can use Morningside Mediclinic and have cover, but you can't use Stanton Mediclinic. They're both good hospitals. It's just one's contracted, one's not. You've also got the Smart Series. This option is good for younger people who are quite knowledgeable with how to use technology, because a lot of the time this option you're using online to find doctors in the network. It uses its own network known as the Smart Network of Hospitals. So if you are someone who is not very familiar with how to use technology, then I wouldn't recommend the Smart Series to you. You also don't get a medical aid card on the Smart Series because it happens to be on your cell phone, a digital card. So just bear that sort of stuff in mind. It is an affordable plan. It does offer you some sort of day-to-day cover benefit. So you've got your hospital cover, like we've discussed on previous slides. And then the day-to-day benefit works a bit differently. You can see a GP or a dentist or an optometrist, but you don't have a savings account. How it works is you pay an upfront co-payment, for example, 150 Rand to see the GP. You can go see the GP then and have a consultation. You can pay an upfront co-payment to go see the dentist and then have the consultation. But you don't have an actual Rand value savings account allocated. Sorry, going back to the previous slide, I realized I never gave the cost per month. Classic Saver will cost a main member 3,762 Rand per month, and you get 940 Rand allocated monthly to your savings, which is 11,280. Okay. Classic Smart, there's no savings account, so no need to worry about that. And Classic Smart will cost the main member 2,235 Rand per month. The core series is referred to as Discovery's hospital range. This is cover. You'll notice your triangle here has absolutely no day-to-day cover. There's no medical savings. There's no above threshold benefit. It's a blank triangle because it's a hospital-only plan. In other words, you've now been admitted into hospital because you broke your back. You have your surgery. You're admitted in hospital for 6 weeks. While you are in hospital for 6 weeks, you are covered. When you are discharged from hospital, you're no longer covered because you no longer have savings. So you can't use your savings to go see a GP or a physiotherapist because that doesn't exist. So core means hospital plan and you're covered within hospital. Again, there's the option to have classic core, which means covered at 200%, or you can make it classic Delta core, which means you're using the network hospital, or you can have essential core, where you covered at 100%. The core comes in per month for a main member at 2,800 Rand. That was what it will cost you per month. Lastly, Discovery offers the Key Care range of plans. Key Care is the most affordable options from Discovery. It works according to your salary. If you're earning 14,400 Rand per month, you will pay 2,800 Rand for the plan. If you're earning below 14,400 but above 8,900, you'll pay 1,897 for the plan. And if you're not earning a salary up until 8,950 Rand, you'll pay 1,380 Rand for the plan. The very important thing to know with Key Care, where a lot of members get stuck, is it all has to do with hospital networks. You can't use any hospital. You must use the Key Care network of hospitals. You can't see any GP. You must use the Key Care network of GPs. So it's a very network intensive plan, but once you've wrapped your head around it, it's a very good plan. Members are happy on it, and it's quite affordable at those price points. I've gone through that quite quickly because I wanted to take time for some questions. So I'm going to open the floor for anyone to have questions now. Do you have any questions on the plans, how they work, the funding? Remember, guys, this is your session to ask questions about which plan is best suited for your needs. So when after the session's done, you're going to have to go and complete application forms choosing a plan. So use this time then to ask questions.
Can I ask a question, ma'am?
Yes.
Can you please explain for me okay, let me check again. Okay, the essential delta saver. Yeah, it's
Yes.
essential delta saver. Can you explain that one for me again, ma'am?
Yes, of
Let's say
course.
I cover me and my kids.
How many
Can you take
children
me
will you
through that one?
have?
3.
3 children. Are they all under the age of 21?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were to put yourself and your 3 children on, it would cost 5,256 Rand a month. You'll get 786 Rand a month in savings, which comes to 9,432 Rand for the year. An essential Delta saver would mean that you covered for 100% of the health rate. So if Discovery says if you have to go for tonsils to be removed, right? The doctor charges 3,000 Rand. If Discovery and the doctor are in agreement that that's a fair price for tonsils at 3,000 Rand, you don't have to pay anything extra. But if Discovery says, actually, we're only paying 1,000 Rand for tonsils, but your doctor's charging 3,000, you can see there as a member, there's a 2,000 Rand shortfall that you'll either have to pay out of your own pocket or from your available savings of 9,000 Rand. Also, you mentioned the Delta network, so that would mean you can't use any private hospital. You have to use a hospital network, a hospital that's on the network. Which area do you live in?
I'm in Ekurulen.
Is that
Benoni.
the Benoni?
Benoni.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just open up the list to see which hospitals are in Benoni. Healthcare, medical aid.
In Benoni, there's I don't see a Delta hospital actually.
In
There's
Benoni.
one, yeah, there's one in Alberton, nothing in Benoni.
Is Alberton close to you?
Not really.
Okay, then there's also Germiston. Is Germiston close?
Not really as well. But they're not that far.
Okay, because there's Life Brenthurst, but I think that's more Johannesburg.
That's
So
in town.
in Benoni there isn't a listed Delta Network hospital that I can see. So then Delta might not work for you in that instance. Then in your case, it might be better for you to rather look at the Essential Saver, and that would cost. Essential Saver would cost 6,584 Rand. So it's quite a bit, it's about 1,300 Rand more than the previous plan, than Essential Delta Saver.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Which plan can you recommend for me? I'm allocated 5-6 for medical aid. Lunga, like I said through the presentation, it depends on what your medical needs are. It depends on if you've got chronic conditions. It depends if you're covering children with you or spouses or parents with you. Obviously, the more people you add, the more the medical aid will cost. If I was to just say which plan is a good option for someone who's never had medical aid, I'd suggest the classic saver plan because it covers both day-to-day and in hospital cover. That will cost you 3,762 Rand per month. Yes, I can share these slides with you. I'll send it to Nokwazi for distribution. Do you have listed hospitals in Eastern Cape? Gloria, do you have hospitals for Eastern Cape in front of you? In Eastern Cape,
Umtata, we have one for Key Care and Smart, not Delta.
yeah, but it's remember also if you did live in Eastern Cape, you could always opt for the Coastal Saver. So if you are living by the coast, there's another plan called Coastal Saver. So instead of Classic Saver or Essential Saver, it's called Coastal Saver, Coastal Core. Coastal means you living in one of our districts that are in the ocean, so either Western Province, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and therefore you can use any hospital that's on the coast, but when you come inland, you have a problem. So you can't do planned procedures inland, you can only do planned procedures along the coast. Does that help you? Felice, does that help you? All right, perfect. Does anyone have any other questions? Lunga, are you comfortable with the answer for your medical aid?
He's still typing there.
No problem.
Lunga,
Yes.
if you are, you can use the mic if you are. Oh, okay.
He said it's fine.
Perfect. Yes, Londi,
Okay,
you are on mute.
Yes. No, I'm on now. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you so much for the clarity. I think on my side, the biggest challenge that I have is to choose the right medical aid for myself. And I think now it's kind of like being clear, but a little bit, I'm still not sure. Because I still like we don't have those lists for the hospital for Delta and something like that since I'm at Pietermaritzburg. So I don't know whether it's possible to get those lists before.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll send the presentation to Nokwazi with the list and she can distribute it to you. I'm just going to share my screen with you and here you can see all the hospitals. You said you're in Pietermaritzburg, hey?
Yes, I'm in Pietermaritzburg.
So the only Delta Network Hospital in Pietermaritzburg would be Midlands Medical Centre. Is that close to you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then Delta would work in your instance. So S would refer to SMART. Remember I mentioned there's SMART plans. D is for Delta and anyone that has a K is for Key Care. And if you get confused at the bottom of each page, it does have the key.
Okay. Fine, thank you.
It's a pleasure. Are there any other questions, guys?
I think another thing that is important, colleagues, is to, if you are filling in your form, make sure that the effective date for the medical aid is the 1st of December. And please fill in where it says main member, and then there's a financial advisor on the side, which is Tyler. She will fill in that part when she is reviewing the options that you have chosen. And also, if you adding dependents, guys, please send their documents so that we can be able to not to have a back and forth in terms of documentation, and then your medical aid can be activated as soon as possible.
Yeah,
If
so
you
when
choose If you choose something that is more than the 5,666 that you have been allocated, the difference will be taken from your basic salary. Okay, so it's gonna cover from your pocket.
Just in terms of what documents you need to add for supporting documents, we need a copy of your ID and any one of your dependents. So if you're joining with mom, dad, brother, sister, or spouse, we need their IDs too. And if you're joining with children, birth certificates if they don't have IDs. And then I don't know when your start dates are, but like Nokwazi said, it must be from the 1st of the month. But you also only have 90 days at the very most to join the medical aid. Don't wait 90 days to join, but there's a rule that says you have 90 days to join the medical aid to be free of underwriting. Underwriting can mean that for 3 months you're paying medical aid but get no cover. For 12 months you're paying medical aid but don't get cover for your specific condition, for example, diabetes, high blood pressure. And you can even get a late joiner penalty. If you're over 35 years old and you have never belonged to medical aid before that you can provide proof of, you'll get an extra premium you have to pay. So it's very important that you start your medical aid ASAP.
Thank you, T. There's another question from Piliswa. What does Delta mean?
Delta literally just means it's just Discovery's name for their network hospitals. For example, if I share my screen with you again and we look at this, like I said, the D is for Delta. You can see Midlands Medical Center is a Delta network hospital. Hillcrest Private Hospital is a Delta network hospital. Mediclinic Limpopo, Delta network hospital. So Life Cosmos Hospital, Delta Network Hospital. So it is literally just what they called their hospitals that agreed to their network list. There's no fancy meaning to it other than that. Yes, Lindiwe.
Okay, ma'am. I just want to ask if ever, like right now, it would be me, myself, and I on the medical aid, right? When time goes on, then I decide to put somebody
Yes.
else on my medical aid.
Mhm.
Then am I allowed to do so? Just like right now, I'll be fully covered with the amount that we're having from the company. Then when time goes on, if ever I just want to split that amount, then am I allowed to do so?
You're allowed to add dependents, yes, and you can add them anytime. For example, the dependent you add must be financially dependent on you. So you can't add your uncle who is owning his own business and isn't dependent on you, but you can add children and spouses and parents if they're dependent.
Yes.
The 5,600 Rand that that PSI give you, that
Yes.
would be used up accordingly. So if you added another member and it pushed you over your subsidy, then the difference is for your own pocket.
Okay. Okay. No, it's clear.
Perfect.
So for now, I can cover myself with all this amount.
Yes. Yes. So
Okay.
if you chose a plan that would cover that costs the full 5,600 and then
Yes.
added a child that now costs an extra 1,000, so you costing yourself 6,600. That extra 1,000 for adding your child, you're going to have to then pay for your own pocket. Otherwise, you'll have to downgrade or choose a different plan that's cheaper when you add the dependent. Oh, that
Okay.
reminds me, sorry, one more thing. You can upgrade only at the end of the year or when Discovery opens the window period to upgrade, and you can downgrade any time of year. So you can go from Classic Saver to Classic Core, but you can't go from Classic Core to Classic Saver during the year because it's seen as an upgrade.
Oh, okay. Is there any difference between the Delta cover and the coastal saver? I'm not sure.
So if you go for Classic Delta Saver versus Coastal Saver, yes, there's a difference. Coastal Saver covers 100% of the health rate. Classic
Yes.
Saver covers 200%. But if you were to compare Essential Delta Saver with Coastal Saver, they're very similar. The difference is Coastal Saver, like I said, you can only use the coastal hospitals for your planned procedures, whereas the Delta option allows you to go to any Delta hospital, whether it's inland or on the coast. Are you comfortable?
Not really.
Okay, so Coastal Saver is the same as an Essential Saver. Basically, the difference there is with Coastal Saver, you must use hospitals that are in our coastal cities, like KwaZulu-Natal, sorry, our coastal provinces, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Western Cape.
Okay.
Essential Saver, you can use any hospital in South Africa.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Yes.
it's a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Nokwazi, you had a question? Nokwazi, did you
I'm
still
on
have?
mute.
Shame.
No, for me, I think that is clear in terms of, I think the questions that are coming from the colleagues are really an issue that we deal with most of the time, people wanting to add their mother-in-laws and father-in-laws, but you have clarified that the person needs to be financially dependent on the person. Yeah.
Yeah, very important. The medical aid won't allow you to add anyone who's not financially dependent. Any other questions?
Colleagues, you have the forms for the medical aid, right?
Yes, Nogaz.
Okay. Andiswa,
No, I don't.
you don't.
Okay, so then Nokwazi, do you have the form that you can send to your colleagues?
Yes, I do. I'll share the forms.
Okay, so we'll share the presentation with you. Like I said, I just have to update the rand values that were in the presentation because they old pricing. Once we do that, we can distribute it with the recording and
Hospital network.
the hospital network. Thank you, Gloria. This is why I have Gloria on the call. Okay. And with that, if there's nothing else, then thank you everyone for your time. We can conclude the meeting. Oh, yes, Londi.
Yes, please. The last question, please. What I want to ask, can you please share your contact so that if we come across with any challenges, so that we can be able to ask if possible?
Sure, I'm going to put the 2 email addresses in the chat.
Okay.
video.co.za. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good weekend and a good festive season, because I don't think I'll speak to a lot of you until the festive season has passed. Keep safe.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, T. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thanks, G.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.